Dear Mr. A&R, we all struggling artists. Realize the world is cold, but we came here to spark it. Swimming little guppies in a sea full of sharks. It's gonna take a miracle to not end up hard.
Hello, and welcome to another episode of Inside the Six with Ian and Thomas.
Hi, everybody.
We're back. We did survive Hurricane Florence, and we are out doing our part to try and help clean up as best as we can, because there are many people who were not as fortunate as we were. So we're trying to do what we can to help, and we hope that you guys listening and watching, wherever you are, can do what you can. You know, donate a couple dollars, donate some food to the people who did. I mean, there are people who did lose their houses. They lost everything.
And even if it's not for this area, you know, just try to reach out into your own communities and do some good there.
Yeah, absolutely. Because, I mean, everybody needs some help sometimes. I think we missed Nations League week 5 and week 6. No.
We just had week 6.
We just had week 6. So it was week 4 Nations League, week 5, and then we'll talk about week 6.
Yes.
So I think for the most part we're kind of going to skip over Nations League a bit. It was very interesting to see the first go at it. I think UEFA did a fantastic job.
I think it's going to be a cool tournament.
Absolutely. They did a fantastic job of setting it up. It's going to give smaller European teams a chance to fight for, getting into the Euros, so that they can, try and build up, some momentum and maybe qualify for bigger tournaments in the future.
Yeah.
But for the most part, we're going to talk about our usual Premier League stuff. And I will say that the biggest game of the week there was definitely Tottenham-Liverpool.
Yes.
It was a fantastic game. I think, as expected, Liverpool did come out with a 2-1 victory.
Little bit of a nail biter. A draw would have been
nail biter. It was more
okay.
nail in the eye, really.
But
For those of you who don't know what we're talking about, Toby Alderweireld,
yes,
basically poked Roberto Firmino in the eye.
3 knuckles deep, man. I mean,
it was just it was brutal.
It was a pretty brutal shot.
To the point that he had to come off.
He had to go to the hospital.
Yeah. He did come back just a couple days later on to play against PSG in the Champions League, where he scored the winner.
Yes.
And his celebration was quite literally,
it was pretty awesome.
It was pretty awesome.
It was pretty awesome.
And even Jurgen Klopp, after the match, copied it. But the second big match, at least for me, was Chelsea. Chelsea just destroyed Cardiff. Eden Hazard had a hat trick, and Willian finished it off to give Chelsea a 4-1 victory.
Yeah. It was a good match. It was an entertaining match. I'll put it that way. It's an entertaining match, and you're a Chelsea fan, and Eden Hazard is a fantastic footballer. I think he's enjoying himself a little bit more. I think he's starting to settle into sorry ball.
Yep.
A little bit, and I think at this point he's only going to start getting better.
Well, and many players, within the Premier League, not even on Chelsea, are saying that he's absolutely up there with the best, like Messi and Ronaldo. And I agree with that.
I will too.
He is working his butt off to make himself one of the best in the world, and it's working.
I think it's sibling rivalry.
Sibling rivalry.
He's just trying to beat out his brothers.
He's already done that.
Oh, I know, but he's trying to just absolutely leave him in the dirt. And not,
he's already done that.
Not to slight the other Hazard brothers, but whatever. I was just talking.
Watford did lose their undefeated status against Man United. Although it was a very good game, they did fight, and it was only a 2-1 victory for United. Speaking of United, there's been a lot going on with United recently, and I'm kind of going to go into this week as well. I saw an article, I can't remember where I saw it, that said Man United is no longer one of the top European clubs in the world. And they're absolutely right. I don't even think they're one of the top English clubs right now.
Well, they're not.
Because they're struggling against smaller teams.
And they're only in 7th place in the Premier League right
exactly.
now. They beat Watford, and to end Watford's perfect start. I mean, Watford came to play this season. I'm not sure exactly what's going on there, but it's really cool to watch. United just has not been able to get their gears in place for the last season, and then this part of the season. Even though we're only 6 match days in. I mean, you've had 6 games to play, plus EFL
and Champions League, I believe. Yeah, they're in Champions League.
Yeah, so they've had some football to play, and they're just not able to really, really put it together when they need to put it together, and they have the talent. It's there. And we've talked about this more than once. You've got to be able to take control of the dressing room, and there's a reason Jose Mourinho left Chelsea.
Yes,
and it was because they told him to go. For the same kind of reasons. He'd lost the dressing room. And I think he's never really gotten a hold of the dressing room at Old Trafford. I think he's never really been in control. He's got
It's starting to come to fruition right now.
Yeah.
The day of us recording this, we have a quote from Paul Pogba, who just today lost his vice captaincy, but Jose Mourinho refuses to say, no, I haven't fallen out with him. And then hours later, Paul Pogba comes out and says, I don't want to be here anymore. I'm tired of this.
Yeah, and I read that article a little farther, and that's why he lost the captaincy. It wasn't a falling out. It was the fact that he said he wants to be at another club. And Jose Mourinho, probably rightly so, said, well, if you don't want to be here, I'm not going to let you skipper the squad. But still, I mean, that didn't help matters. That didn't say, hey, I'd like you to stay. That meant, fine, get out.
Yeah.
I mean, they can say all they want. There's not a falling out, but to me, that's a falling out, and that's going to bleed into other players. I mean, especially when you've got, Marouane Fellaini, scoring the equalizers in EFL Cup matches, and Romelu Lukaku. Nobody even mentions his name anymore. Of course, and then you got guys like Alexis Sanchez who just are not playing to their abilities. For some reason, the coaching staff, I can't say it's just Jose Mourinho. I mean, there's other coaches and there's other trainers and things like that who are involved in these players' everyday lives at the club. And for some reason, they're not able to pull out the best part of the talent for these. I mean, these are world-class players. Romelu Lukaku is a world-class. He's a World Cup player. Paul Pogba's team won the World Cup. I mean, these are heavy hitters, and they should be causing trouble for every team they play. And for some reason, they're not. And I think you wanted to touch on this. Manchester United got kicked out of the EFL today.
Yep.
And I mentioned the Marouane Fellaini, scoring an equalizing goal. To push it to penalties
in the 90th minute.
Minute.
And they lost 8-7 to penalties.
Yes.
To Derby County.
Yes.
Sorry, Derby County.
Derby County. Phil Jones apparently launched his penalty kick into the crowd.
Phil Jones, he's a defender. He doesn't know how to shoot.
Understand.
Fair enough.
But it's really kind of a shame to see a team, with the stature and the status that Manchester United is known for. I mean, they're one of the oldest clubs in the country. And when you talk to people who may or may not know a whole lot about international football or even English football, who's your favorite team? Manchester United comes up a lot.
Yes.
It's a household name. You can talk to someone who may not even know about soccer, and they've heard of Manchester United. They may not know, Jose Mourinho. They may not know Marouane Fellaini. They may not know Alexis Sanchez or, Romelu Lukaku, but they know Manchester United. And it's kind of sad, with commentary being put out there now that they're not even a top club in England. Is really disappointing. I mean, I'm not a United fan, but I have friends who are United fans, and like any supporter, they live and die, by that club. And of course, these guys are absolutely silent on Facebook lately. Which is kind of nice, but I'm looking at you, Jeremy. But
don't worry, we'll think him at the end. It's all good.
I love you, brother. But it's kind of disappointing, to see a club where you expect better from them, even if you're not a supporter. You expect to see a certain level of talent perform, and they're not able to do that for whatever reason right now. And I hope they figure out how to fix it. If it's new management, if it's new trainers, new coaching staff, whatever. Well, hope they fix it.
I feel like something's coming soon because there have been talks between the owners, or the owner, that apparently the owner is not happy with Jose Mourinho right now. So I think sometime soon he's got to leave. I mean, they're losing, important games. I mean, they're just not performing at the level that they should with the players that they have. There's something wrong, and I absolutely think that it's the dressing room, which means that Jose Mourinho should leave.
Yeah. I have problems with his coaching style anyway. Just the fact that he's always the last one to come out of the tunnel. He's in the tunnel 5 minutes before the match ends.
Exactly.
I to me that's crap.
If that was my manager, I mean, clearly he doesn't want to coach for you. Why would you want to play for him?
Right.
It's just, anyways. Yeah. That was really the big major mark of week 5. Arsenal did get a win over Newcastle, which was very important for them.
Yes.
I think we should move on to West Ham did beat Everton 3-1.
Yes, and that was a brilliant match.
And I think I want to talk more about Everton when we go over their next game. I briefly want to touch over Champions League. There were 2 big moments. I guess 3 big moments for me. It was Liverpool beating PSG. We were lucky enough to be able to watch that game.
Yes.
By far one of the best soccer games so far this year.
It was fantastic. I mean, not just because of the scoreline, but I mean, it was just a great match. I mean, even the PSG fans, I'm sure, have to agree. That match was really well played by both sides. It was awesome.
Let's see. The second one was Barcelona absolutely crushing PSV Eindhoven 4-0. Messi with a hat trick and a beautiful one at that.
Yes, and PSV Eindhoven really played very well.
Yes.
I mean, it was into the second half before the first goal got scored.
No. It was 1-0 at halftime.
Okay, yeah, my fault. But I mean, with a team like PSV Eindhoven, and not slighting them at all, but to come up against a giant like Barcelona and hold them 1-0 at half, you did well. You did very well. It just seemed that once it started raining, it was pouring. Yeah,
it was the first half.
And it was, I had no doubt at all Barcelona was going to win the match. Mm-hmm. Especially, I mean, they got, Suarez, working his tail off. You had, of course, Leo Messi doing what Leo Messi does. Yep. Like I said, I had no doubt that Barca was going to win. But at the same time, I like to root for underdogs. And it was kind of sad to see, Eindhoven, get, I mean, they just got taken to the carpet. I mean, it is what it is. I think they did well. I don't think they have any reason to hang their heads in any kind of shame. They lost, what was it, 4-1?
4-0.
Oh, yeah, 4-0. 4-0.
I mean, they pushed. They had plenty of chances.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if you look at Barcelona's defense, it's frightening. I mean, just looking at their starting 11, it's an absolute beast of a squad. And the fact that they can, Ernesto Valverde can absolutely just, flip players around wherever he wants them, from off the bench or not. It's just, it's ridiculous because they have that talent with them. And that's why they're such a devastating team.
And their style of play is really, if you're the opponent, I mean, it's got to be frustrating.
It's tiring.
To know that, because one of the stats that I remember from that match was the fact that in the first half, Barcelona had 430-something passes to PSV's like 107. And it's their style of football. That's how they play. They keep the ball moving.
The passing distance was the exact same. They've passed the same amount.
Yeah.
But they just touched the ball so many more times.
Yeah,
and it's impossible to defend against.
Right, and it's got to be frustrating. It's got to be tiring as as an opponent, whether it's whether you're a striker, midfielder, or a defender, it's got to be absolutely just one of the most ridiculously frustrating things to encounter, and it's brilliant. It works, and it works well, and it's been working for a long, long time, and probably will. But the tiki taka football, I don't want to have to come up against it. So,
let's see. Oh, last thing for Champions League. 30th minute. Sorry, 29th minute. Cristiano Ronaldo, his debut in Champions League for Juventus, shown a straight red.
For something incredibly stupid.
It was.
Especially for a player of his status.
Yep. You could tell, he didn't get the service he wanted. The defender kind of fell against him, and he kind of just tapped his head. There's no reason for it. It's foolish. It's stupid. But he got shown straight red. Juventus did end up winning the game 2-0. But they did it without their big-name star. Yeah. And they won off penalties. It was two penalties. He did come back his next game in Italy and score, I think it was 2 goals. But, that's not a very good debut. Plus, with his red card, that means he will miss their game to Manchester United, where he started his career. Well, I guess where he kickstarted his career.
Yeah. And he may miss more than that, depending on how the disciplinary action goes.
So that brings us to week 6 of EPL. I don't really want to talk about this week.
I'm sorry.
I'm a little bit saddened to say that Chelsea's no longer perfect. They are still undefeated.
They're still in 3rd place.
You can point that out.
They're undefeated, sure.
They did not beat West Ham, but West Ham did not beat Chelsea. It was almost a disappointing game.
I was just going to say, it was a very frustrating match to watch. It seemed like neither team could really figure out what they were doing.
And from what I saw, I didn't like the way that the midfield was working for Chelsea. For some reason, Maurizio Sarri moved N'Golo Kante out to the right side and put Jorginho in the center. N'Golo Kante is a central midfielder. He's supposed to be the guy in the center of the pitch controlling everything. When you put him out on the side, all of his magic is gone. It didn't end up working out, and I could tell that the midfield was lacking something. Chelsea would either try and play long balls, or the midfield just wouldn't have any creativity in what they were doing.
And at the same time, Chelsea had their shots. They had their chances. And West Ham had their chances. Yarmolenko had a brilliant chance. And another coat of paint on the inside of the bar, and it would have gone in. But Eden Hazard had his chances. The goalkeepers really did their jobs. It was still a frustrating match, and I kind of agree with you what you're saying about the midfield. It was a sloppy match on both sides. Really, there was no rhythm to anything, and it was a frustrating match to watch. It was almost boring. It was so frustrating to watch.
But that was the heartbreaking one for me. Liverpool did pull out a 3-0 win over Southampton. 3 second-half goals. Back to Manchester United, dropping points to Wolverhampton.
Who is impressing me this season.
Are. They definitely came to play this season. And I absolutely believe they deserved the point that they got, if not more.
Yes, I'll agree with that.
Because, they came out. They said, "Look, this is a big team. We're gonna play with everything we have," which is what you have to do as a smaller club. You have to be able to play with your entire body and give everything that you can. And they did. They absolutely did. And it got them a point out of it. I'm not sure. Let's see, where are they on the table? They're 10th, so they're not doing terrible. See, the 3 teams that have come up this year.
Wolverhampton is in 10th. Cardiff is in 19th.
And Fulham's in 15th.
15th.
So of the 3 newer teams, Wolverhampton is impressing the league. They're rising through the ranks, getting points. They're at 9 points right now. So they've only
got 1 loss.
Yeah. They've got 3 draws, which means they're doing something right.
They're getting points. I mean, these nuts and bolts matches that they're playing, you know, are going to mean the difference whether they stay up or not. And when you come up against a team, you know, like they've been facing, that's going to mean the difference for them. I mean, when they can sit there and they can take, they just played Chelsea, right? Or United, yeah.
Yeah.
When you can get a point from United at Old Trafford, that's got to be a pretty good confidence builder. That's got to tell you they have the capability to you know, fulfill what their goal is to stay up, stay in top flight. You know, what are they going to press for? You know, Champions League, UEFA, you know, things like that. It remains to be seen. I mean, why not? Burnley did, you know.
Exactly.
But they're playing. I mean, it's good looking football.
Yeah.
It's not, you know, you see teams like, you know, Sunderland or, you know, Southampton and Swansea. You know, those teams. You see, you know, the scrappy, you know, backstreet football. You know, it's just, you know, a bunch of Sunday leaguers getting together to bash heads. That's not what I'm seeing from Wolverhampton. You know, Wolves are playing.
They've got some big names on it. Let's see. I remember a lot of their squad is big names from the Portuguese national team.
Yes.
So I mean, they've got players and they're using them well.
Yeah.
Let's see, the next big match was poor Cardiff. 5-0. Manchester City just crushed Cardiff.
Took the drubbing.
It was devastating. And it shows why they're in 19th.
And if I'm not mistaken, that one was 0-0 at the half.
Oh Lord, was it? I don't remember watching that game.
I do.
No, it was not. It was 3-0 at half.
Okay, never mind. I don't know what I'm thinking of. Somebody was 0-0 at the half. Yeah, and that was. Anyway, sorry.
Crystal Palace and Newcastle was 0-0 at half.
Okay.
It was also 0-0 at full time.
Yeah, actually, I did watch that match.
As was West Ham Chelsea. Arsenal Everton was 0-0 at half.
That's the one, yeah.
And then just 10 minutes after halftime, Arsenal broke through with 2 goals. Although the second one should not have counted. Pierre-Emerick Aubameyang's goal, he was clearly offsides. The commentators noticed it immediately, which is why, personally, I'm in favor of bringing VAR in.
I am too.
And I think they will next season.
I think it just adds that bit of integrity to the game.
Yeah, it makes sure. I mean, it changes games. You know, I know this game, the result would have ended the same, but that's one less goal on Everton's goal differential.
Right.
You know, that could change their spot of where they are. Yeah. You know, if they're trying to get into Europa League maybe next season, or even Champions League.
Well, I mean, not only that. I mean, it's just the goal shouldn't have stood. You know, I mean, if the assistant referee, you know, and I'm not slighting the assistant referee. I mean, he gets to see it one time.
Exactly.
You know, and it's in real time. He's at a full sprint. You know, with everybody else. You know, so you know him seeing it or not seeing it. You know, what are you going to do? But yeah, I'm in complete agreement with, you know, VAR being instituted, you know, as soon as possible, because not only does it change games, but like I said, it instills some integrity back to the game. You know, you've got guys who are, you know, diving. You know, I'm looking at you, Raheem Sterling. Every time he touches the ball, he flings himself to the ground. I mean, he looks worse than Neymar.
Really,
it's a disgrace. And you know, but stuff like that is going to go away. You know, at that point, the referees are going to have to crack down on it. They keep saying, in order to get rid of it out of the game, to you know, move that stuff out of the game and get rid of it completely, the referees have to kind of have to crack down on it, and they have to, you know, they have to enforce the rules. That's a lot to put on just, you know, one guy who only saw it one time at full speed. You know, I agree that's a lot. So VAR is going to say, listen, I looked at it from 5 different angles. I looked at it in slow-mo. I looked at it from upside down. I looked at it backwards, and that's not a penalty. You know, so he's got something he can stand on and say, no, I just didn't see that. So now it's not a controversial call anymore. Now it's the right call.
Yeah.
And I think that's gonna bring a healthy level back to the game before it starts to decline too much.
Yeah.
So
back to the other side of that game, Everton. Where is the struggle happening? They're struggling. It's obvious that they're struggling.
They're struggling. They're struggling more than they really should be.
They're in 12th place right now, but they have 1 win, 3 draws, and 2 losses. So they have 6 points
out of 18. So they're batting 300 right now. They're not. Where's the struggle? First, they got a new manager.
This is their 3rd new manager in 2 years.
And that takes a big toll on a player. It takes a big toll in the dressing room. Because just as they start maybe to get a hang on, somebody's tactics, now they've got somebody else's tactics they have to figure out, and now they've done it a 3rd time. So I'm going to kind of cut them that slack because they are a good team, and they've finally gotten rid of Wayne Rooney. So I think they have nowhere.
Somehow killing it at DC United, by the way.
Because it's MLS. I could kill it in the MLS. Maybe.
Do it. You won't.
You're right, I won't. I am really just talking big trash right there. Because I know, we've got some friends who are big Wayne Rooney fans. I'm looking at you, Gareth Evans. Still one of my favorite players in the world. Because they have the talent. I think they just got to get everybody to buy into whatever tactics their new management is trying to employ, and some of them may be struggling with that kind of football. They don't have any new players, do they? No,
they didn't do much in the transfer window. They had Theo Walcott, but he was there about midway through last season. Yeah. I think he's starting to pick up his steam back again now.
He's got a blistering pace.
He does. There's one player who's been there for, I think this is his 2nd season now. Jordan Pickford, goalkeeper. How long do you think he stays at Everton?
For the sake of his career and his reputation, I hope not long.
All right, me as well.
Seriously, he's a better goalkeeper than their record is allowing him to be.
Yes.
And that's simply said. He is a fantastic goalkeeper. He had a fantastic World Cup. Everton's back four just keep letting him down. Period.
He doesn't have the protection that a goalkeeper of that stature needs. I'm not saying, most people say, oh, he's a world-class goalkeeper, he should make the saves. It's not like that. It's absolutely not like that. A world-class goalkeeper should be able to control his defenders to the point that he only has to make a save a couple times a game. Coming from a former goalkeeper, I know this. You don't want to be the hero 25 times in a match.
Right.
Because it's exhausting.
It is exhausting, and it's mentally as well. I've played goalkeeper, and I've been in the net where you're nothing more than a moving target for a bunch of 6-gun shooters, and it's tiring. It's frustrating, and you lose your temper.
Yeah.
I've been yellow carded for that.
But I agree with you. I hope he'll look to leave in the January transfer window. I don't think he will. I think he will leave the next summer transfer window.
So you think he'll finish out this season
Yes.
and then gone? Okay. Like I said, I think that'd be the best thing for him. Is it going to be the best thing for Everton? Absolutely not.
It's going to hurt them.
Yeah, it's going to hurt them a lot, because I think he's kept them in, more than they realize. He's keeping them in. He's a wonderful goalkeeper. He really is a very skilled goalkeeper. He's brave.
Mm-hmm. He's acrobatic.
Absolutely. His distribution is what really, I think, is one of my favorite attributes he's got. Is the distribution he's got so many different ways to distribute the ball. But I don't see, watching Everton play, and Cody Arnaud, if you're watching, I know you're an Everton guy, and you're still my favorite hometown player. Hammer still a die. But I don't see the joy goalkeepers generally are kind of scowling anyway.
That's true. We're a bit crazy.
Yeah, you have to be halfway nuts to get in between the bars. But I don't see any. I don't see the thrill. I don't see the joy when he's playing. Like when he was at was it Sunderland? He came from. Yeah. Listen, Sunderland, didn't stick around, but it was definitely by any means was that Jordan Pickford's fault. Actually, I think he kept them up, and then they disappeared after he left. I don't see him enjoying himself because again, he feels like he's got a target, and as a goalkeeper, he does have a target. But I think my point is I don't think he's enjoying himself because the back four of Everton are just not giving him the support that he's got to have. Because he can't stop every shot. I mean, even statistically, you're not going to stop every shot. Think about it. I mean, even a lot of teams who end up with clean sheets, it's not the goalkeeper who made 117 saves. It's the back four cleared the ball. Some of those times, but so yeah. I mean, is he going to leave? I don't know. Should he leave? I think so. So,
all right. So to kind of close out the episode, there's one big thing that happened in soccer today, as of us recording it, in America. For those of you who don't know, the USL is kind of the second tier of football in America right now. It used to be third, behind
Nassau,
and Nassau folded a year ago. And then USL had three different leagues. You got the USL, which is the United Soccer League, USL D3, and the Professional Development League. They announced today that they will be restructuring their three leagues into the USL Championship, USL League 1, and USL League 2. And from what I understand, it will turn into a promotion relegation system.
Which is absolutely phenomenal.
If I'm incorrect on that, please let me know. I'm just kind of just learning on this now because I got home from work a little late and haven't read much on it.
That's breaking news, ladies and gentlemen. You heard it here second.
But I agree with him. It's absolutely phenomenal.
Yeah.
And I personally think and honestly hope that it leaves MLS in the dust. Because the MLS is saying, well, no, it's too hard to do a promotion relegation system. There's too much traveling.
Well, and I kind of agree with that.
Well,
I really do.
They travel anyways. New York teams travel to California all the time.
Well, that's true. Okay.
I don't understand why it's too much traveling when they're already traveling. Yeah, they're going to have to travel a little bit more. It might hurt them a bit. But it's going to draw in more fans and draw in more money. It's going to make it a little harder on the smaller teams, I think. If they were to be promoted higher, because eventually they're going to have to be able to build their stadiums. But I think if U.S. Soccer is smart and USL gets the funding, they can help these smaller teams build a little bit more.
Well, and with a couple of years ago, the U.S. Soccer Federation actually changed their rules as far as stadiums and things like that. And I know that the USL changed. They were giving waivers to some of the smaller teams. You don't have they have certain requirements in order to have a team in the league. One of them is the majority owner has to have $1 million in assets other than the team. They have to have a stadium. Well, they want to make sure you got money to back the team. Your stadium has to seat so many people, and you have to be able to have a certain amount of a draw at weekly matches. There's certain things like that. But with the promotion relegation system throughout USL, I think those teams, as they kind of get things put together. I mean, you're going to have the championship where you're going to have your Real Monarchs and things like your two teams, Timbers 2 and stuff like that, who are all USL. those teams already have big stadiums, so that gives the D1 and
it's championship and league.
League One and League Two divisions, a little bit of time to work their way up through things,
which is why
and hopefully there is some money from U.S. Soccer.
I think funding there is very important.
It's gonna be key.
But we were talking about this earlier when I first noticed it and told him about it. He's like, that's gonna make MLS implode, and I think it is. I mean, there's a huge growing fan base for USL. There are hundreds of Facebook pages for these teams and their fan bases, and it's growing every day, which is awesome for U.S. soccer. I'm so excited for it.
Yeah,
MLS is just kind of stagnant, I guess.
Well, they just keep adding expansion team
after
expansion team, and they're not doing anything to grow the game. They're doing everything they can to grow their league, and the ticket prices are just going out of control.
Because unfortunately, the MLS is about selling the tickets. It's not about the game. And that's the problem. That's why, Europe is so successful with their soccer, and America's struggling behind.
And I'll give you just kind of a little bit of a point on that. We went to see the International Champions Cup. I know we're running out of time. Over the summer, we went to see the ICC. We saw, Liverpool and Borussia Dortmund in Charlotte, North Carolina. And, I mean, I got, cheap seats, for $65 a piece. Cheap seats in England. If I go and watch Liverpool play Manchester City at Anfield, the cheap seats are going to run me $12.
Yep.
That's the difference, Sure, there's a lot of other costs, I'm sure, but I mean, these teams have the money. I mean, Borussia Dortmund has a boatload of loot. Liverpool is actually, their home office is in Boston. Just so you know, Fenway Sports Group is out of Boston. But anyway, and yeah, it's sure there's money to be made, and I don't dislike the fact that they're trying to make money. I want them to make money because I want them to be able to do stuff like the International Champions Cup and bring those teams, closer to us so it's easier for us to go see it. But at the same time, stop gouging me, man.
Yeah.
I have other things I could spend $65 on, but I anyway. So I enjoyed it. I do have one real quick thing, and then we'll be able to wrap up. You were talking about that, but apparently FIFA is in the process of rewording the loan rules, players out on loan, and what they call bridge transfers and whatnot, and limiting the number of them you can have per season. Some of the bigger teams have a lot of players out on loan. The article I read on FOTMob, again, shout out to FOTMob. Thanks for all the great information. That's, up to the minute. So if you guys don't have that app, download it. But according to that article, Chelsea, at present, at this very moment, has 40 players registered out on loan. What this new rule would do is it would make them change the way they build their squad in the future. I mean, they've got 40 players out on loan. They have, 27, I think, on their roster, or 28, whatever it is. But they have 40 other players they can pick from in a transfer window. It's gonna force them to kind of, think a little bit farther,
and
which isn't bad.
No, it's going to help like the smaller teams.
Yeah. Sure.
Like Derby County, a lot of their players are on loan. So instead of, having your entire squad built off of loan players, you're actually able to start buying these players from these bigger squads or these bigger clubs, so that you're not having to, Chelsea has, 3 players on Derby County. At any point, if there's a clause in the contract, Chelsea can go, no, those are ours. We're going to use them, thanks.
Yeah.
And Derby County just lost 3 players.
Yeah. So, yeah, in the long run, I think it's going to be much better.
Yep.
All that stuff they said is going to go up for votes and meetings and whatever at the end of October. So, in about a month or so, maybe we'll see how that's going to work out for the next Premier League season.
Yep.
That's all I have.
I think we're good.
We went a little bit extra tonight.
We had a lot to cover
because there was a lot to cover. We really appreciate you guys being patient with us. We know we were down for a couple weeks with that storm. But again, if you can find some place to donate some time, money, whatever, or just say a prayer, give us a good thought. We're making it. We did well. A lot of our friends did not do so well. But everybody's going to be fine. We got really fortunate with this one. We dodged a Category 4 bullet. But thanks for bearing with us. We're glad to be back. Big shout out to our good buddy Macrophonic MC for letting us use his music. You guys need to check out his stuff there. The links are there. Macrophonic MC, very talented artist. He's also a first responder by trade.
Yep.
Just for that, check him out. And tell your friends about him because he's really a talented artist. Shout out to Thomas. He does a lot of our social media, almost all of it. And then with the T-shirt shop, those links are there.
Only 1 month left for this shirt. At the end of October, it's gone because October is Breast Cancer Awareness Month.
So get your pink ribbon breast cancer awareness Inside the Six logo T-shirt. The proceeds for that will go to breast cancer research. But check out the other designs and logos too. You can also get phone cases and bottle openers and kitchen aprons and whatever it is you want to get.
Dog collars.
Dog collars.
I think dog bandanas.
So check that stuff out. Listen to, if you don't have time to watch the episodes, you can listen to them on iTunes and Google Play.
Yep.
And that's that. This is Inside the Six with Ian and Thomas. We'll see you guys next time.
Thanks, guys.
Booyah!
Dear Mr. A&R, we all struggling artists. Realize the world is cold, but we came here to spark it. Swimming little guppies in a sea full of sharks. It's gonna take a miracle to not end up